Hey guys, welcome back to Choosing Your Career with me, Nick, and Levi. Today's show is all about being a voiceover artist, and we are joined by just Silas. So, if you've ever wondered about the wonderful world of voiceover artistry, this one's for you.
Hi, so my name is Silas Lechwati from Just Silas Communications, and I am a professional voice actor artist.
Hey Silas, welcome and thank you for joining us on Choosing Your Career. Now, Silas,
Thank you.
how did you get into being a voiceover artist?
Well, my story is kind of the typical discovered on the street kind of scenario. I used to be in the regular corporate world, and one day I was approached by someone who liked the sound of my voice, and they didn't really explain to me how voiceover works or what it is, but they had asked me if I was interested in a voiceover and had given me a date in a studio to come to. And I arrived on the day, was handed a script, I read it, listened back, saw what they were doing, and I quickly learned right there and there on the spot what this whole entire world of voiceover was. It was such a surprise. Not many people know that this craft exists, and they hear it almost every day. You'd be surprised.
That's such a lucky story. So many people fall into the jobs that they love, but not many people actually get to do it full time. So, if somebody
100%.
wanted to get into a career that was a voiceover artist and they didn't have a superb voice like yourself, what course would they follow in order to get into a voiceover career?
Oh, well, that's a good question. That's a question I get approached by a lot of the time. I get quite a few emails with people asking me how to get into the industry, and I try and help as many people as I can. But I would say one of the first things you need to consider before coming into voiceover, because if we're being completely honest, billions of people have great voices out there. It takes more than just the ability to sound nice. There's a performance level that is required of you. So to some degree, I would say you would need to have some sort of creative spark within you to do voiceover, because you're going to get a lot of projects and a lot of tasks that require you to 99% of the time come out of your shell. And when people want to come into this whole voiceover world, the first thing I would say is consider your voice. If people compliment you a lot of the time on how nice your voice is or that you should be on radio, that's a good start, but it's not going to guarantee the way forward. Then you'd have to take on the research yourself. The internet right now is filled with many resources on how to become a voice actor, whether you have what it takes to be a voice actor. But coaching is also out there, which is always the go-to. Find a coach who can tell you whether or not you could work in this industry, because essentially you're going to read at the end of the day, and someone will tell you exactly what you have going for yourself and what you may have to work on. Someone like myself, which is why I encourage people who approach me to send me maybe a demo, even if it's recorded on their cell phone. It doesn't have to be studio quality. And based on that, I'm able to then see that this person has something, but maybe they have some shortcomings in to this degree. And then at that point, we can work the way forward. So I would always say the internet is your first point of reference. There's so many resources out there that you could tap into. And then finding professional coaches or artists within your region is always the next best step. You sort out those two things and you're absolutely good to go and don't have to learn through trial and error like some of us have had to over the years.
Silas, that's fantastic advice. Thank you. Now,
Yes.
there's an entire world of voiceovers to be done. What type of voiceovers have you been lucky enough to do over the past couple of years?
Well, in my regard, I started out small like anyone else, just doing a couple of voiceovers here and there, learning my craft. But over the years, I've built up my skill set, and I've been fortunate enough to work with some of the biggest brands in the world, from BMW to McDonald's to Coca-Cola. I voice a few companies, well-known companies here in South Africa, where I am the brand voice, and I'm the voice they go to kind of push their products moving forward. And that's a good space to be in. So the field and the amount of voices are just it's infinite. You know, there's many different industries. There's the video game industry, there's the commercial industry, and then there's the corporate industry, which actually gives us quite a lot of our work. A lot of these corporate companies are looking for people who will get their information about their businesses and companies and all of that. So that's always a good place to kind of find your feet, because it helps kind of generate more regular and steady income. It isn't as competitive here in South Africa as I would say in other parts of the world. So we are fortunate enough to go on our ability to deliver voiceover, and we don't have to really fight a lot of people with auditions for jobs and things like that. So it makes it quite good for us as voiceover artists based here at home to be able to tackle projects and get picked for certain things. And some things are once off and some things are for the long run. So you get a bit of both. And it's always a good space to just be working at the end of the day.
Now, Silas, your resume is filled with many weird and wonderful voiceovers that you've done over the past couple of years. Do you have any specific ones that have really stood out for you?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I'm going to try and answer it as kind of best as I can. I think there's a lot of projects that I've done that stand out. So I know the general consensus would be like, who would be to ask who, you know, who's your biggest client, and, you know, which one has given you the most reach, and so on and so forth. But personally speaking, as much as I enjoy my corporate and my commercial work, because they have helped me build a life for myself, my favorite projects tend to be the ones that are more on a humanitarian level. And sure, you know, these are NGOs and things like that, whose budgets generally don't match those of the corporates or the commercial fields. But they're the ones that I feel like I gravitate the most towards, and which make me feel as though with my talent and my ability with how I use my voice, these are the best placed spaces for me to use my talents to maximum ability. So these tend to be the ones that I enjoy. So when I'm working with maybe the AU or doing projects for the UN or things like Global Citizen that actually speak to causes that I believe matter and deserve the world's attention, these are the ones that I tend to get the most fulfillment out of. And these are the ones that always make me step away from the mic, happy to know that I've contributed to something that's at least taking society forward. And I'm not just selling you something, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it really does. And I've been fortunate enough to watch a lot of your projects online, especially on your website, and
Yes.
also, you know, hearing them on the radio and things like that. And also had friends of mine telling me that they've heard you on the radio, which is a very cool thing to happen. Now, obviously, when it's going well, it is going
Yes.
well. You know, it is a
100%.
very, very good industry to be in. And obviously with COVID, it may have had a slight dip, but in terms of like just the general amount or the general need for voiceover artists, it's pretty infinite. You can work 100%. From home and those types of things. Have you found that even through COVID, you've been able to maintain a steady workflow through this pandemic?
Well, yeah. Fortunately, I think with our industry, we were pretty fortunate when COVID hit, more so those of us who had already had home studios set up. I've got my home studio set up at the back. It's not Dr. Dre's setup, but that box back there and this laptop we're talking on right now, these have been able to just keep things moving. And with COVID, it really had an impact, because I would say both a negative and a positive impact, because for those of us who were set up with some kind of home setup, it doesn't have to be super extravagant, but just even the most basic that'll do the job, we're able to literally the next day start fielding massive amounts of work that came in literally overnight with this lockdown situation, because we were poised to just hit the ground running. And many voice artists, I think, found themselves at that point having to quickly assemble these home studios and things in the middle of lockdowns and stuff, which must have been very difficult. Hence, I say it was both a good knock and a bad knock for our industry. But based on where the world is sitting right now in terms of COVID and how we all interact now virtually, I think voiceover is poised now to move forward into this digital age and embrace it thoroughly, because I find now 50% of my work, I'm going into studio, and 50% of my clients have just resorted to just sending me scripts and saying, Silas, just record it from home. We know what you can deliver, etc., which makes it great for me because I can do it in my pajamas, or feed my kid and schedule it for 11 and say, okay, I'm going to go do these voiceovers quickly for the day, come back downstairs. So we in a position right now to embrace this digital migration, and the more people realize you can now do this digitally and still deliver top quality work, it'll just make this industry, I think, just explode. So there's room for growth and there's room for people to get in here. I don't think people that want to get into voiceover are necessarily competition, because I believe we learn from each other. We all differ in our tones and how we deliver. So when we include more people, I think it's only a good thing for everyone at the end of the day. So yeah, digital seems to be the way to go.
Do you have a personal motto or something that you look towards, that when the chips are down and you need to kind of keep your head up and try and motivate yourself, do you have something that you look to that keeps you motivated and keeps you happy and keeps you wanting to do this into the future?
Yes, definitely. So for me personally, it's a matter of looking back on where I come from and where I am now. I'm not too sure what the future has in store, but I think my past life and the kind of work that I've had in the past, like many people, some of it left me very unhappy, feeling unfulfilled, making ends meet barely. And once I found myself in this position after years of growth, obviously, and voiceover being such a positive change in my life and my life situation, I feel as though my motto has changed from not just doing voiceover all the time for the sake of doing it, but also realizing that this is self-employment at the end of the day. And I feel as though also with COVID, a lot of people have been forced down this route of self-employment. And this is where starting to be cognizant, I think, of the future, knowing and seeing how an unpredictable and unseen situation has led us here, it would kind of maybe put you in a situation where you feel a little nervous about the future, and justifiably so. So my outlook in regards to the career that I have has always been that life has seasons, and sometimes it's great. Sometimes you're booking through the roof and you're making quite a lot of money and life is swell. And then other times, you may not just be the flavor of the month. And there's always new voices coming in. But again, they're not competition. They're just individuals you can learn from. So essentially, I have this outlook that it's seasonal. And based on my past and things I've learned from the past, just always be cognizant of the fact that you are self-employed. It does, at the end of the day, the buck start and stop with you. So if you can be wise enough and fortunate enough to start booking in this industry, I would say invest in yourself and just make sure you just take it one day at a time, one project at a time, and try and upskill and educate yourself as much as possible, because there will come times where we're up and then there will come times when we're down. The key is just to stock up enough nuts for the winter, because the winter will come eventually at some point. But again, spring will come too. And when the spring is there, you need to be smart about how you handle everything around you, and just make sure you've set yourself up to be prepared for these storms that are inevitable in life. So that is my outlook. My career and my life are kind of merged in a way where I know that there'll be good days and there'll be bad days. We just gotta navigate the waters. And when we hit the choppy waters, just make sure we're skilled enough to just cross on through to the sunny side on the other side. And yeah, I would like to just say to anyone out there that is considering voice, this industry is definitely for anyone who wants to put in the work to get to where they want to get to. So just do what you have to do, use the internet, find coaching if you can. There's resources you can download and just sit and study. The Oyster box has been opened with this whole digital migration. So there's room to play, guys. It's a great industry. The rewards are great. The work is lovely. It's fun. And the most important thing is you can own your own time. So I think that's a commodity that is priceless and not many people have the privilege of having. So if you're someone who wants to have their time and still make ends meet and still grow, then I would say 100% more than welcome on this side.
Excellent. And Silas, just before we leave, can you tell our viewers where they can find you?
Yes, for sure. So my website is justsilas.com, and you can log in there, see my work. There's work there I've done for the South African market, but also for the international market. There's clients all over. You can see all kinds of examples of my work. And if you're looking to get into voiceover from pretty much anywhere, or mostly so from the South African perspective, then feel free to reach out. I'm happy to share resources with you, things that have helped me, and hopefully you can be the next great voice out there.
Again, Silas, such fantastic advice. Thank you so much for joining us here on Choosing Your Career. We do appreciate your time.
Be a pleasure. Thank you so much. Have a great day.